Hi. Today I'm enjoying the sun as best I can with limited access. And I'm going to talk about a dilemma that faces, oh, it's a bit red. A dilemma that faces me, but I'm only going to talk about it very vaguely because it's a delicate, delicate subject. It's in connection with my father and my continuing relationship with him. A difficult subject has come up. Did I mention this in another video? I lose track. But a difficult subject has come up, which is being very vague, the subject of historic abuse, which was broached last time I saw him, which was a couple of weeks ago, I think. And his reaction was quite unwelcome. It was violent, denial of the activity, defence of it historically. It was all a bit mixed and confusing. And in the light of his reaction, I've been thinking about other things that have happened that he's talked about in the past and referred to again more recently, and various other things in life which I'm not going to elaborate upon here. Some of them I've touched upon in earlier videos if anyone can be bothered to go back and look. At least I think I did. I can't remember now. I might have been being extra guarded back then. But to return to the present, it's caused me to think about things and maybe try and reevaluate, or do my best to reevaluate. No, I've been forced to reevaluate past events and words and such like. It's going to be difficult to say this without going into more detail, which I don't want to do. So I don't know, I could draw conclusions, which I know is the wrong thing to do without more evidence, but there is evidence. Well, would be enough to satisfy some people who aren't looking for real proof. But I find the whole thing rather unwelcome and disturbing. Am I putting two and two together to make five? Yes, I'm sure I am. However, all this comes from somewhere, this reaction, because it was hurtful. With the help of my friend, it was something that I wouldn't have been able to bring up on my own. The subject of historic abuse was raised. And I don't know quite what reaction I was looking for. Understanding? Acceptance? I think understanding and compassion, and neither of those were remotely in evidence. It was, as I think I said a few minutes ago, denial, vehement denial, justification. So some compassion and empathy would have been nice. It would have, well, it wouldn't have led to this atmosphere. Since this initial confrontation, I have spoken to my father on two occasions on the telephone. And both times he's restated his position. Basically said that he doesn't believe what myself and my friend was saying. That it's based on a small sample. and therefore meaningless. So what's he basing his evidence on? But the whole thrust of his argument, I'll call it an argument for the sake of convenience, the whole thrust of his argument is that abuse doesn't happen, but if it did, it doesn't matter. It's insignificant. You just put it behind you and move on. There's no lasting damage done to a child who is abused by an adult or another child. And he has put the onus on me to prove otherwise, because he knows that it's not the case, that it is irrelevant in child development. Then added to this other business I've alluded to, but which I'm not going to talk in his history, recent history. Why is he defending this? Why is this? And it's not just, oh no, I don't agree with you there. There's real anger, real force behind his denial. I would say again, I don't know. What do I do? Do I pretend we haven't had this exchange? I think he will return to it. He has done in the 2 times I've spoken to him. He will return to it and want to push his point of view and dismiss mine, my experience. So it isn't something that I can just ignore and brush back under the carpet, even if I wanted to. But I don't want to have this argument. I don't want to be in the position of having to prove something. So this week I would normally call him on a Thursday or maybe a Friday. This week I didn't call him on Thursday, which was yesterday, because I don't want to have to face his aggressive contesting of my experience, his insistence that I come up with figures to prove. For fuck's sake, he wants me to come up with figures to prove my experience. How does that make sense? How does that make any sense at all? This is my experience. It's not some statistical... Well, I could come up with statistics. But why should I have to? Why can he not just accept what I'm saying? Why is he having to deny it so vigorously? And at the same time as denying it, accord it legitimacy by referring to practices that were prevalent in some areas in ancient Greece, which automatically makes it all right, doesn't it? Yeah, like 3,000 years ago they were doing that, so that's all right. But it's not comparable. But I have neither the inclination nor the ability to fight with him on this. All I wanted was him to accept my words and understand, and I got neither of those. So I'm not inclined to speak to him again at the moment. I will have to sometime. I can't just walk away from this. But I can't. I don't want to. I have no intention of justifying my experience, improving it, because I know what happened. And not only do I know what happened, I only know part of what's happened because I know that there's more detail which I am not seeing, of which I get glimpses occasionally, just little hints. Things bring up memories which I promptly push away. And I don't want to talk about this with him in detail. There's only one person with whom I would talk about some of it. Some of it I haven't even shared with that person, some of the detail. Some I've shared and I know she hasn't heard. Sorry. I know the other person hasn't heard, and I don't want to go back and revisit it. It does remind me, this business of little images coming up and me pushing them away reminds me of an experience I had whilst travelling, where something kept coming up and I kept squashing it down vigorously. That's what it's like. Memories I really don't want to see, I don't want to recognise or allow. So I won't examine them. I see there's there and there's a feeling associated with them, and that's it. I don't want any more. But hey, I'm rambling. This has gone on for 10 minutes. That wasn't the intention. So bring things up to date. How about that? No, I haven't finished there quite yet. So I'm putting off speaking to my father, which is possibly unkind. Am I trying to hurt him, punish him for his disbelief, lack of understanding, care and compassion? Maybe there's an element of that. Maybe there's also a significant element of my not wanting as I've said before here, not wanting to have to prove something and justify my point of view. So it's not all about rejecting him. There's some self-defense in there. Right, that's enough of that. Moving forward to the present. I have a short day's work today. I could have finished by midday, I would have thought. And then what? I'm not seeing my friend today, so it leaves me at a significant loose end. There's nothing particular I want to do, need to do, can do, really, other than sit here in a beautiful spot in a lay-by, exposing a little bit of my body to the sun. What else can I do? The obvious thing is, well, is it obvious? The sensible, realistic, whatever thing to do would be to speed home to get ready for working tomorrow. But the working tomorrow is a contentious thing in itself. It's an event that's been organised by my wife that I would have said, no, don't do it. But she didn't consult me. She's organised it, booked it, and it's the usual chaos that I experience when she does organise something. She's committed to an arrangement, a setup, which she can't do on her own, which means basically I have to do it, which gives me three options. Three? Yes, three. I go to the event with her and set up and disappear for a few hours and then come back at the end of the day to pack everything up. Or I go to the event with her, set up, stay there all day, and then pack up at the end of the day and come home together. Or I do the event myself. because whereas she can't do it herself, I can. None of those options are remotely satisfactory. I don't want to have to set up and take down and then go somewhere else. In different circumstances, I might have been welcome to visit my friends during the day, which is quite close to the event, but that isn't an option at the moment. So what would I do? Again, nothing particular I want to do. I'd go home, sit in the garden for a bit, and then have to go and pack up at the end of the day, and it's just a lot of fucking around. So it's neither a day working nor a day off. It's just a day fucked up doing something for someone else. Attending the event together? No. The last time we did that, it was bloody difficult. And relations are even worse now. We don't talk. And trying to do these things together when somebody's being illogical and making mess all the time, it's just little things like putting the coin tray in the till, turning through 180 degrees every time it's used, so it's always the opposite way around to the convention, which is the way that I use it every week. Minor irritation, but repeated. Another one is packing food on top of the till, so the till gets full of bits of food. Yeah. Swapping tongue. Oh no, this practical stuff you don't want to know about, but it just makes it mildly irritating. Oh, fuck. Why is it in this country it seems that we rarely have sun, and when we do it's always bloody windy? I suppose that's the joy of living here, isn't it? Bottom line, it's not fun. When we were getting on together, it was intensely frustrating. Yeah, various ways in which it was deeply unsatisfactory. Turn around, expose the other side of the sun for a moment. Not that there's much left. So that's not an option. The third option is to do it myself, which is giving up a day. So it's not a day off, but at least I'm on my own. I don't know. I could insist on option 3, but then am I being unkind to her, whose event it is, who has arranged this thing herself? So I'm excluding her from something that's of her creating or arranging. Which is unkind, so I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the fuck the answer is. Just as I don't know what the long-term future is. There are lots of pointers that say this is the way forward, this is what needs to be done. But at the same time, there's a lot of uncertainty. Things that would have been ideal solutions are no longer quite so clear cut. I don't want to talk about this here. I don't have the answers. Who does? Only me. But I don't know what they are. I'm trying not to rush back home. I've spent quite a bit of time here. I shall do a bit more work and then stop again somewhere else. And then stop again somewhere else. And aim to get back late afternoon, early evening, having dossed for half a day. don't want to go home. At the moment, I don't have any appropriate alternative. There's being out working or being at home. And I've pretty much finished work for today. Nice bit of blue sky. But too much wind and not enough privacy. Hey ho.